It's another day. I really have no energy to welcome anyone to this episode because we are coming off of a show right now, Tuesday night.
12 comedians
12
and
comedians.
one host.
Yeah, and one host. That's too much comedy in my life sometimes, I think so.
It's like the worst pornography ever.
Exactly. The one that you don't watch to the end.
Yeah, like with the plumbers, of course. And nobody's toilets or pipes get fixed.
Exactly, yeah. But anyway, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the new edition of Before the Punchline Comedy Podcast. My name is Kirill Voronin, and I welcome back the third host ever on this podcast. It's Adrienne Ebert.
Welcome, guys.
Welcome again. Yes. Oh, it's been a while.
Yeah, the last time it was right before the big competition that we're all doing.
Yeah, so that was autumn of last year.
Fuck, time passes so quickly.
Yeah, imagine like a month later it's going to be autumn again.
Wow, and your daughter's growing up. My
She
cats
is.
could have had like 8 litters by now, probably.
Yeah. Well, a lot of things have happened since then, with you in particular, because you started hosting comedy show.
Yes, here with you.
The show that we've just had, yeah, we are hosting it together on daily basis. No, that would be fucked up. Too much comedy in my life, yeah, never. You moved to a new apartment, and that was one hell of a story.
Oh God, yes.
You were looking for it, yeah, in the circumstances that you've had. And
Stories to be had there for sure.
Yeah, and as I remember, you've told me before several times that you've actually had some pretty crazy stories that went along with it.
Oh, as always. I think beforehand I was living in this babushka apartment, right?
Yeah, with the carpet on the wall.
And here we are with the carpet on the floor in the middle of a place where there needs to be no carpet whatsoever, but it's just part of the aesthetic.
Yeah, it is. But you know what? Like, here's the thing. Like, foreigners, you guys, when you rent an apartment in Moscow, you are usually not that, sensitive about little details, yeah? But Russians, when they are looking for an apartment in Moscow, they're like, they look at the pictures, they're like, carpet on the wall, fuck it. Block this person who posted this fucking ad, like, for life.
Really?
Yeah.
They have, like, bigger standards than I do for my Tinder dates. Wow.
Exactly, yeah. No, we are Russians, we are very sensitive about such things. Yeah, carpets on the wall, no, that's taboo. No.
So what other standards would you have if you were to go look at an apartment that you would say, no, never?
Depends on a person. The first thing that I would look at when I was searching for an apartment to rent, the bathroom. It needs to have good renovation. For me, again, like if I see that Soviet style with like a square, what do you call those fucking things? I don't even remember.
The hole in the floor where you go to crap.
That's too much.
I am proud to say that I have been able to secure an apartment with an actual porcelain commode. You guys.
Wow, that deserves an applause break. Yeah,
I am
really.
moving my way up in the world.
Exactly, yeah.
And I can even flush toilet paper down it without any plumbing problems, not one flooding so far.
Don't you think it's pretty crazy? Like, have you ever thought of renting an apartment in the center of Moscow?
I thought I was in the center.
Well, you live on Marina Roshcha right now, yeah?
Yes, that's correct. That's correct. I mean, it's the center of Jewish life in Moscow, which is the only thing I'm interested in personally.
Really? That is, by the way. Yeah, that is true, guys.
Only Jews and Arabs, so...
Yeah. But I mean, like, places like Чистые пруды, where Jim and Jack's is, for example, and that kind of stuff. What always shocked me is that those apartments cost a lot of money. Like you would check out the prices for a one-room apartment in the center, it would be like 55,000, 60,000. But my problem with that is that the owners of these apartments, they know that, it's the center, so people would want to rent them. They don't do any renovation whatsoever there. So it's like the renovation there is like 1970. Like really, everything is crumbly, like the walls are about to fall off and stuff like that. And it's crazy.
Well, growing up as white trash, I didn't really register that as being a problem whatsoever. Like, oh, great, there are cockroaches here, my friends.
Yeah.
Linoleum flooring, damn, we fancy here. Linoleum flooring with, like, floral patterns. Oh, gosh, damn. And you know that you found your place if the refrigerator is turquoise.
Oh,
White, that's for peasants. But if it's some horrible pastel color that looks like it's not been produced the past 40 years. That's aesthetic.
Welcome to the trailer in Louisiana.
Respect.
But you are from Texas, though.
Texas, Louisiana-ish.
Texas, Louisiana, yeah?
Yeah, you can move more than one place in your childhood, right? Especially if your parents have a happy marriage.
Yeah, exactly. But unlike the guys from Louisiana, you don't have that accent, because they have like this...
Because I was educated.
Yeah, you see, this is what happens when you actually go to school and study the language.
And you end up sounding like Kirill or me, or some combination thereof.
Yeah, exactly. I never understand that. Like when I would see a Russian English teacher, a person who teaches English, but they are Russian, and they have like this terrible Russian accent, and they're like, oh, I have been teaching for like 20 years, and I'm like, yeah, why haven't you fixed that fucking accent? It's not that hard.
It adds charm. That's why.
And intimidation, probably.
Boy, come on. If you're to move to New York City because everybody wants to move to America if they're Russian, right? That is the point of getting a green card lottery. They want to move to New York and become a taxi driver. I do not know. But if you're to go there with the perfect American accent, everybody would be like, what the fuck's wrong with you?
Exactly, yeah.
But if you show up there with a Russian accent, hello, I am taxi driver, I am from America, everybody would be perfectly afraid of you and you're good to go.
Okay, let's tip this guy or else he's going to stab us.
Yes, it works in your favor.
Exactly, yeah. Where's that? There's this district for Russians, Russian district in Brighton Beach. Where is that?
It's in Brooklyn.
In Brooklyn, yeah?
Yeah, it's right next to Coney Island.
Oh, okay. Is that like really Russian district, yeah? There are like Russians living there a lot of them?
Yes. I mean, I haven't been to New York in like maybe 6 years, I want to say. But yeah, y'all people are there.
Nice. Very nice.
You can go up and say like, Dobry dien.
You actually reminded me of something with that accent thing. I remember the first time that I went on stage to do comedy like 5 years ago. That was only the beginning of English comedy in Moscow. And we had a lot of Russians back then and Jim and Jack's performing.
Yeah.
And all of them had terrible Russian accent. And I get on stage and I start with my set and people just started listening to me and they had this confused look on their face. I was like, what the f*** is this? This guy speaks normal English? What's wrong with him?
Is he an imposter?
Yeah, exactly.
What is he doing in our Russian English-speaking comedy event?
Exactly, yeah. People sometimes ask me, like, are you really from... they don't ask me, like, are you really from Russia? They would usually ask me, where did you study? Like, where did you go? Did you go to America? Did you go to Britain for, like, 10 years to study? I'm like, I'm broke. I have no money to go anywhere. What are you talking about?
I'm sorry, I'm just smart.
Yeah, it's just smart. No, it's called not slacking off. See? That's what it's
just
called.
Playing lots of video games, watching lots of...
By the way, yeah, I learned a lot of words and I really got my dictionary wider, if you can, bigger, yeah. Richer, yeah.
You got your dick wider because of...
Yeah, exactly. No, I was playing video games a lot, and unfortunately, so we had the thing that we didn't have Russian voiceovers in video games, but we had the subtitles. And the voiceover was still English, and I remember I loved just listening. Most of my swearings come from GTA. Okay.
Good call. Yeah.
Most of my swearings come from GTA. It's actually great.
It's more colorful than Friends, right? Like a lot of I guess Russian students say that. Oh, I love watching Friends. It's so good.
Fuck it. Look, let's actually talk about this. Do you think that Friends is a great show?
I've watched maybe half an episode twice in my life, and I don't get it, personally, because I have a sense of humor, and I'm very smart and very...
Exactly, yeah.
I'm very clever, so no, it's not my jam.
So, really, likewise, and a lot of guys and girls who I studied with at university were like, oh, man, you have to watch Friends. This is like the best show ever. And I'm like, okay, I'll try. 5 episodes I watched. It was like, I'm about to puke here. Where is the funny part? When does the comedy start?
Oh, the new generation of that, though, is the Big Bang Theory.
Yeah,
like
the Big Bang thing. Mm-hmm.
Like whenever I first came here 6 years ago and guys were trying to chat me up in bars, they would say, oh, my God, you speak English. I love this show, The Bang Time.
And they would be doing like the big bang thing, and you're like, Pornhub. Okay, nice.
That would have been a far more interesting conversation, but instead I'm stuck in this conversation. I'm like, yes, that's a shit show, and you're probably well, thank you very much for talking to me. But it's the same thing, just very pedestrian humor. So what is the Russian equivalent? If you were to go to America, and for some godforsaken reason, a person were to come up to you and said, oh, I love the Russian language, I really like watching, what would the most basic bitch comedy in Russia be?
Holy shit, that's a good question, because all of the sitcoms that we have in Russia, those are basically rip-offs of the American sitcoms. Like really, all of them. I'm not joking. Like we had, there was like My Darling Nanny or something like that, which is a ripoff from the American sitcom about the nanny. I don't remember the name of that.
It's called The Nanny.
The Nanny, yeah. It's a ripoff of The Nanny. Then there was Happy Together, which is a ripoff from Married and with Kids. Is that the name of the show? Yeah.
Married with Children.
Married with Children, yeah.
I love these derivations of it.
And then there is like a sitcom called Interne, which is a ripoff from the Scrubs. Yeah. Which is actually my favorite sitcom. I've always found Scrubs way better than Friends and all the other bullshit.
I do actually like some network television, like 30 Rock feels like a warm pet on the head, just something familiar, not laughing out loud because I don't laugh at anything because I'm depressed, but just, I get that joke. It's very clever. I appreciate it. Like Arrested Development as well. Yeah.
I mean, yeah. But it's very hard. Like, I wouldn't even say... I'd say that my generation, they would tell you probably Interne is like a go-to show because they have some colorful characters there. Yeah, the Dr. Cox ripoff is actually a pretty funny guy when you watch the show.
What does he do?
He just humiliates everyone even more than Dr. Cox. Like constant sarcasm. Yeah, in Russian, like constant sarcasm, and he has a speech impediment because he doesn't pronounce r. But I guess that all of the Americans don't pronounce. See, this is the problem with me. You know, I wish I had an equivalent of my name in English because the foreigners just can't pronounce my name properly because it has a strong r. Yeah, Kirill. But all the native speakers are Kirill. I'm like, fuck. I get it that you don't have this r. Yeah, you have a r, but it's like.
One of the schools that I was working at last year for 2 months before I realized that that's not my calling, they made all of the Russian staff there pretend that they're not Russian. So they made them go by the English equivalent of their names. Like you're not Denise, you're Dennis.
Yeah, of course.
And there was a Kirill there, but he was Cyril.
Cyril. Well,
Cyril.
I know like a kind of a French variation of this name. It's like Cyril, but for me it always sounded like cornflakes, you know?
Hi, I'm Cereal. What's your name? I'm Snack Crap Couple and Pop.
And my name is Milk. We're mixed great together. Something like this. Oh, I got crazy. Yeah. So what do you do right now? You said that you used to work at a school, yeah? What do you do right now?
It's a funny story, actually. So I can admit this now, let go with much graciousness from the school that I'd been working at for 3.5 years because I got too funny.
Oh, that's a long time, 3.5 years. I mean, this is the thing because they never get rid of you. They never let you go easily after 3.5 years. Yeah, so
I'm sure there was much like wailing and gnashing of teeth going on, but somebody complained for a silly reason because the last project before New Year's, I had all of my teenage classes write letters to Santa with a format that was meant for 5 or 6 year olds as a joke, where it was, "Dear blank, I have been a very blank this year. For Christmas, would you please bring me blank and blank? Your loving blank." And these are teenagers, right?
Imagine what they put in there, yeah.
All right, so Cyril, what would you put in these blanks? Let's do it together. Dear Satan.
Satan, yeah,
of
for
course,
example.
good. That's good wordplay. Solid, I approve. I've been a very blank this year.
Been a very naughty and malicious kid.
All right, a naughty and malicious kid. Already like a B2 level grammar. We're going to advance you to the next level. Good job. And I would like blank.
To get free antidepressants.
That was one of them, surprisingly. Mental health was what one of the kids came up with. I would
Holy
like
shit.
mental health. So you're on their level for sure. I would like mental health and, next blank.
And a bunch of coke.
Who wouldn't? That's what I said. And thirdly?
No parents. Please.
No parents. Okay, so homicide, good call. All right. Or just like random natural disasters.
Like a hurricane.
Good. That was a unit that we had covered. So again, I would give you an extra gold star for that. Love. Cyril or Kirill? What are you going with?
Love and peace.
So he's still a hippie at the end of the day. Good. I've raised him right as a student. Okay.
I mean, look at me. I do look like a hippie.
I missed your goth pants. Those are the best. I wish that I could fit into them. The ones with the skull zippers.
Oh yeah. Those are the best. Like really. But I started dressing up like I'm 18 or 20. You know. Because I used to dress up such like a very bland person, you know. I've always been like blending with the crowd all the time. Like I couldn't find my style. And then when I actually started dating my wife, she was like, "Look, you're thin, you're tall. You need to wear more black color, like black pants with multiple pockets, since you carry so much shit with you. I don't know, like." Tight and fit shirt or something like that. Get a mantle. Get a black mantle or something like that. Grow your hair, which I did actually.
Start wearing makeup, and you know what? Some nail polish would look good on you too. You're like her Pygmalion, right?
Oh yeah. Oh, have you seen that? Probably you haven't, but still, there is this singing competition called Eurovision. Yeah, heard about that?
I'm not that American. Yes, I'm familiar.
Okay, yeah, you're more Europeanized.
Yeah, Eurotrashized.
And the last winner of this Eurovision, there was like a band from Finland, yeah, and the front man is like very tall, skinny dude, and he also he wears makeup all the time.
Nice.
Around his eyes, yeah. And my wife was like, "I'm buying that thing. I'm gonna paint your eyes and I'm gonna fuck you like that." And I was like, "Whoa, get me 3 of those, please."
Girl knows what she wants. Damn, I want to check this out now. I was never interested in Eurovision before, but now I want to see who this person is because I like her taste.
Yeah, she does. Well, and I mean, yeah, I started dressing up. I think I'm expressing my personality more. By the age of 30, finally.
Finally, you're going through your emo phase.
Yeah, exactly. I'm scared to think of what I'm gonna look like when I'm 40.
What comes after emo?
Shit. Well, I would say like a mental disorder, but I already go to therapy.
Yeah. Darker mental disorders, I suppose.
Darker mental disorders.
Oh, we can do like a psych ward fashion, like with the socks with like the sticky pads on the bottom.
Yeah, exactly. But I think that I'm gonna be again more conservative. I think that I'm gonna start wearing tie, you know,
Avril Lavigne style tie with a wife beater.
Oh man, I love her. She is like, without a joke, one of the best singers I've ever seen, because she actually can sing. And it's a shame that she is not as popular right now as she used to be. She still sings, by the way, and she gets like full rooms and stuff, but not a lot of people talk about her these days.
She's more successful than us, though, so fuck it.
She is, yeah. But what I was getting at is that if you look at all those hard rock, heavy metal bands from like 2008, 2009, yeah, within the time, the older they get, the more conservative they start dressing up. Like, check out all of those bands like Bullet for My Valentine, Asking Alexandria, yeah, and all those bands. They originally, they were all emos. Like, you would watch skinny emos, like wearing a lot of black. And like in 10-year time, they start wearing, like, you know, suits, slacks, and stuff like that.
I was supposed to do a rock concert in khakis.
Yeah, exactly.
And like penny loafers or some shit with socks. Like, I know that My Chemical Romance was supposed to tour here before the Rona thing happened.
Yeah.
What were they going to be dressed like?
Wow, I wonder. I wonder. Imagine like Slipknot coming to
And Brooks Brothers.
Yeah, they're like, the masks are the same, but they're wearing suits, ties, and stuff like that.
Or even like sweaters with like leather patches on the elbows.
Oh my God,
That would
yeah.
have been beautiful.
But I'm definitely getting a sleeve tattoo this year.
Great. What are you going to get on it? Koi fish, roses.
No, I in my head I was thinking like three images I want to place there: a crow, a tree, a tree branch, and a chapel. Like that's what I want to be present there. And the style, the most difficult was actually the style to choose from. I decided to go with trash polka.
What the fuck is trash polka?
It's a mix. It's like it's a mix of two colors, mainly black and red, and it looks like somebody is painting it with a brush. There is like a very symbolic, a very symbolic stain at the end of the brush. When you go like this, and then like you very quickly.
Symbolic stain. What does this stain symbolize?
Nothing. It's just set to remind basically how you, as if you were painting and you just quickly took did this very quick move. My English is fucked up right now, guys. Sorry, after 2 hours of a comedy show.
I wouldn't be able to describe it either.
But still, yeah.
I just got this new tattoo, I guess, in Sochi because I didn't know what else to fucking do in Sochi because I'm not into beaches or sun and shit.
They actually have really good tattoo masters, yeah, because this is a really good tattoo.
Thank you. I've been having it in my mind for a couple of years. It's all the boys I ever loved because I may be a comedian, but I'm still emo at heart.
How long did it take to make this?
7.5 hours, and it did not hurt at all.
Wow, yeah, because it's on the leg, probably.
Right.
I bet that when I finally go to the tattoo master to make a sleeve, like once he reaches this section and the elbow, I will be screaming like a little bitch. Probably.
Only if you're a bitch on the inside.
Yeah, I'm emo. So yeah, I am a bitch, more or less. Yeah.
What a cute bitch, so it'll work.
Yeah, of course, yeah. So that being aside, let's talk more about your progression in comedy because I've seen you improve drastically ever since our last conversation. Because you started hosting more. You're not only hosting here, you're hosting Jim and Jack's right now, like on weekly basis.
Yeah.
Because one other comedian that was originally hosting it got lazy, I guess, and he was like, okay, let me pick someone with a very similar name. She's a woman. They will not notice the difference, probably.
It's a source of endless jokes. I think I find it more funny than he does, but...
Well, yeah, I mean, definitely. And here's the thing. What I wanted to talk to you about, since you're hosting both places, and we have discussed it right before the show, that here, when people come to this club, because they know it's a stand-up club, they come here like specifically for the stand-up show,
Right.
Half of them don't even order drinks, they just order food or tea and just watch, okay, entertain me, Jim and Jack's is a different kind of audience because Jim and Jack's is not known as a stand-up club, it's more like an expat party place, where people just get drunk, talk, and so on and so forth. So how different are the crowds here and in Jim and Jack's, like in your perception?
Well, there's also a difference between the fact that we're doing our open mic on a weekday, and there's also a comparison to be made between how they are now and how they were at Faust, for example, a bar that we were doing it at a year or two ago. Whereas first and foremost a bar, it was advertised on couch surfing, and so you had kind of the same type of people coming in. Oh, they heard that there is an event here where there'd be people speaking English, where there might be fellow travelers or students, and it was first and foremost a hangout, and there happens to be comedy here. So their primary directive was to get drunk and enjoy whatever was happening. But the people who show up here to a designated comedy club on a Tuesday are looking for something more specific, right? They either know that they're coming for a comedy show, or they know that they're looking to listen to something in English.
The latter, I think, even prevails most of the times. Because one of the things that our very good friend comedian actually recommended me when I'm hosting it is like, it's Tuesday. You know that there are a lot of people who don't have very good English level. Yeah, ask them about that. You know, like they want you to recognize their skills. You know, and stuff like that. So I do that from time to time.
So wow, you speak good English. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, exactly. That's. But on a weekday, I agree because they are more likely. They don't drink, I think, for that also for that reason because they're like, oh, fuck, I have to go to work tomorrow. Yeah, I can't drink a lot. Well, let me have some other form of entertainment, stuff like that.
Even the way that you say it sounds so despondent. Oh, I cannot drink, which I'd prefer to do, but instead I come here and listen to fools make comedy on stage.
Fucking weekdays, right?
Yes.
Fucking job. Doesn't allow me to drink.
Fuck that. But so, yeah, I mean, the past couple of weeks before this, you've carried the energy amazingly well.
No, thank you. I'm trying
It's proof that people can come out and enjoy themselves on a weeknight every Tuesday here.
Yeah, exactly. So come every Tuesday. Yeah. One of us is going to be hosting, the other one is going to be performing. I like it. I like it how, you know, like we switch back and forth. Like 1 week one is hosting, the other one is performing. Yeah, because you need to check your material.
Hey, which one do you prefer, by the way?
Right now, I think I prefer hosting, actually.
Huh.
I actually started hosting because I'm just going through this period of my life when my daughter is rapidly growing. And because of that, she's very anxious, she's very restless, and so the sleeping schedule goes fuck itself, basically. And I have, here's the difference between me and a lot of other comedians. I can't write material when I'm tired, you know. I can't make myself write material. I need to have this kind of mood or inspiration, you know, to do that.
Yeah.
And because of my fucked up sleeping schedule and all the things that I have to do at work and with my daughter, I just don't have any energy. And that's why I decided to host. You know, I was like, okay, so if I can't write jokes, but I still want to be on stage, what can I do? Host a comedy show. Plus, it's going to improve my crowd work.
Yeah.
So,
was it the first time in your life that you felt that drained of energy?
No, it's not. The other moment was when I just started dating my wife, and she had a brain tumor, and we were treating it for like a year and a half. And at some point, there was a really big scare of stage 4 cancer. And for a month, we were waiting for the fucking test results for a month. And that was like very she was crying every single day. I felt like shit, but I couldn't show it because she's already depressed. If I break down right now, that's it,
Fuck.
Yeah. That was hard shit. And I remember the day when she called me. And I know that's, if my wife calls me, that's something important. She hates talking to people on the phone. Okay. And I see her calling. I'm like, okay, fuck. And I was having a lesson at the time. So I'm like, guys, sorry, I'm going to leave the room. I'm going to come back in 2 minutes. Pick up the phone and she goes like, it's okay. I'm clear. I'm clean. Everything is fine. And I literally went like, and I sat on a bench near the room and I sat there for 10 minutes and I started laughing hysterically. Just because it was too much, I was holding it inside and I was like, fuck it. Yeah. That kind of stuff. So that was the most draining, I would say, energy-wise moment of my life. Right now, it's okay. It's okay. I enjoy doing that.
How long have you been dating? Whenever
we have been together a total of 3 years. We dated for a year, and before we found out that she was, that she didn't have cancer, I made up my mind. I'm gonna propose to her no matter what. I don't give a fuck. Plus, she told me, "Hey, marry me, please. I need somebody to officially take care of the burial procedures when I pass."
So romantic.
Yeah, I'm like a fucking undertaker and a husband, 2 for the price of 1. Take me. And we got married after a year and been married for 2 years. Yeah. And we got married before she got pregnant, so.
Congratulations.
It wasn't like we call it in Russian "по when a woman gets pregnant and you have to marry her. That's it.
Do you know what the term is in English for that?
No.
Shotgun wedding.
Shotgun wedding?
Yes, because there's the imagined like father of the bride hanging out there with
okay,
shotgun
nice.
saying, "You better marry my daughter, save her dignity."
Nice, very nice. Now you see, I always learn these metaphors and slang and stuff like that. I actually, and this is the problem because most of my students, they like when they ask me, "Hey, can you please teach me some slang?" Yeah, I'm like, "Fuck, I didn't teach myself slang. I was just watching movies and series, like Breaking Bad, for example." And I would like hear them throw all these metaphors and sayings left and right, and I would just guess what they mean.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember like thanks to Breaking Bad, I actually learned what the term "do the time" means.
Meaning being in jail.
Yeah, being in jail. Yeah, I had no idea before that what that was.
I'm definitely more trash than he is, for sure, then.
Well, I mean,
Not enough family members in jail, I guess.
Yeah, well, I mean, you are a native speaker, obviously. You know more than I do about the language. So.
And also trashier. Definitely more jail experience, too.
Speaking of that, have you had any other run-ins with the police after last autumn?
Always, as you know. I mean, it's part of my material.
Yeah.
But a couple of things is that, well, for one, I didn't get robbed again, but I did get aggressed and was robbed. I'm sorry, I didn't get stabbed again, but I was robbed by the police.
By the police?
Fuck. No, just emotionally robbed and robbed of my time by the police.
Oh, fuck yeah. Every single person, I think, has had that experience, Russians including.
But taxi drivers, one of my own, would you believe that they would betray me like that?
Oh, my God.
But they ended up taking my stuff, and then I had to go to the police, and it was a whole thing that you can come and see as part of my set sometime if you would like. It was overall a very pleasant experience because I love dealing with any sort of, foreign bureaucracy. It's just like a little bit of an insight to me into a foreign culture. I mean, like, fuck the Kremlin, right? Fuck Tretyakov. Oh, great, Impressionist paintings. Good. No, let me see how the down and dirty of your life works. Let me see how it is to stand in line at mój dokumenty. That's what I'm interested in.
Oh my God, isn't that too much of bureaucracy for you here? I know that.
I mean, I've never had to deal with that much of it, and whenever I do encounter it, it's
really
exciting.
I mean, I've always thought that there is the same amount of bureaucracy in the States. I mean, in particular with the fucking taxes. When you really, this is the only country in the world where I know because I read about that. Yeah, that you're fucking. When you how do you say, when you give your tax information to the government, that's like the biggest pain in the ass that you can have as a citizen of the United States.
It's just a part of life that we all, I guess, learn to live with. I mean, not me, because I'm special like that. I live off the grid. Whenever I had to file for an FBI background check to go to Korea, they also offered to like a free credit check, which is kind of like what do the Chinese people call whenever you have this kind of like social credit system.
You know what you're talking about, yeah.
Right, we have the same thing in the United States, but we make it sound more official and less like spy-y and communist-y. It's just called a credit report. That means like how many credit cards have you had in your name, how many bills have you had in your name, how many apartments have you rented, and how good are you at paying back whatever the fuck you owe. Because you're supposed to take debt, but then you're supposed to pay it back because that's our system.
The magical system.
And so if you do a good job of lending and borrowing and then paying it back, you have a good credit history score. But if you don't do none of that shit, you have no credit history score. And you can't get hired because employers will be like, what's wrong with this person?
Never got a loan in his life.
Exactly. And also, maybe they're not that good off financially, and maybe they might steal from us. We don't know. So we're going to pass on this person. Because America. But whenever I applied for the FBI background check, they said, you want a credit history report as well for free? And I said, fuck yeah, go ahead and do it. And they came back with the report of nothing. You don't know who the fuck you are. New social security number, who this? I'm like, sweet, I'm invisible. What do I do with this new power?
Like a new stealth aircraft, yeah.
Exactly.
Oh my god, this is so funny. But it's really crazy when I read the how the credit system is built in the United States. Yeah, I mean, we have pretty fucked up credit system in Russia because the banks are scammers a lot of times. Yeah, like really, it's like a running joke right now. You can buy an apartment in Moscow only if you get a mortgage, and when you get a mortgage, you usually get it for 25 years. Yeah, so you will spend your entire life paying for it, and then your fucking lucky child will inherit it without any payments whatsoever.
It's the same in the States, though.
Yeah, but in States it gets even crazier because you guys, as I understand, like you can get free education at college when you have scholarship, yeah, or something like that.
There's no such, free? No, never.
So you always need to pay even if you have a scholarship.
Right, unless you're maybe the top 0.000000001% of, I don't know, the population, and also if you're need-based. Like if you're a very gifted child from a very underprivileged background, then the Ivy Leagues, who have the greatest bequeathments and the greatest ability to give full-ride scholarships, will offer such a thing. But just at a normal university, those are basically unheard of. So even if you're a star student coming from like a middle-class background, you may get, for example, half off tuition, but you're still having to pay for $25,000 a year.
Holy shit!
And so everybody takes out loans for education. It's considered an investment, like a house.
Yeah, the student loans are probably the most popular type of loans that you can get in the United States, because you get it when you're like, how old, 20, 21 years, something like that.
Before that, if you enter college at 18, that's when.
Holy moly, yeah. And then I read about how people say that you're lucky if you will have paid all of those student loans by the time you're 30.
That wouldn't happen. It's the same trajectory as a mortgage for a home, right? Or for a car. Like, you don't buy a car in cash hardly ever. You do it on a payment system, so it's a longer investment. My
dad got really fucked on the loan for the car. So 2008, he was 50 at that time, and he had never had a new car. He had never bought a new car. He would always have second-hand cars, and he wanted a new one. And 2008, yeah. So he applies, for loan to, I think, 6 or 7 different banks. And most of them come with negative answer. Like, no, you're too old. 50 years old was considered to be very old back then.
Fuck.
And one bank actually said, yes, we will give you the loan, but they gave him the loan in dollars. 2008. A little bit of a history lesson for those of you who have never lived in Russia. In 2008, $1 equaled 23 rubles. But then the crisis hit, the international economical crisis, and the dollar suddenly jumped up to 35 rubles. And it increasingly, exponentially kept growing up. So by the time my father had finished paying the loan, the dollar was at 45 rubles.
So it was like half the rate.
Yeah, usually you would pay like almost twice the price from the original sum that you took as a loan, yeah? I think that he paid like 3 times more.
Oh, fuck.
He got fucked up, yeah. But the car is actually good. I'm still driving it. So.
Nice. What kind of car is it?
Hyundai.
Hyundai, good. Thank God for the Koreans, right? At least they didn't fuck something up.
Look, that's my favorite brand of the car. Like really. And I know that like past 2 years, Hyundai has been actually pretty big on the American market as well.
Yeah.
They're promoting it everywhere, advertising it. Hey, go buy a Hyundai. Sonata is waiting for you. Woohoo!
That sounds almost very Russian too. Sonata is waiting.
Sonata is waiting. Sounds like a prostitute ad. A pop-up message that you would get on any porn site.
Hot single Hyundai is at home, masturbating for you.
Jesus.
Husband not at home. Please buy Hyundai.
You're actually the way that you parody the Russian accent fits perfectly the Hollywood movies, like Russian villains.
Yeah, I mean, that's not how you guys normally speak. I've only living here for 4 years. It's all I hear in my head whenever you people talk to each other.
Yeah, Russian is very
Hello, my
aggressive.
name is Kirill Voronin. Welcome, let me tell you about pornography.
Yeah, well, Russian is very aggressive language. Yeah, I get it. I understand it.
What is the most aggressive language
That I've ever heard, or in general?
that you've ever heard? No, we can just make suppositions too about languages you've never heard. Like, I can imagine that Swahili must be pretty hard, but...
I would say that the most aggressive language that I've ever heard is probably Korean. Yeah, Korean language.
Yeah, there's a fucking assholes, right?
Yeah, because the Asians have a tendency to, like, kind of when they demand something from you, they scream at you, and like there is this thing as the language vibe, yeah, because you can feel it. Because for example, if an Italian like screams at you, hysterically, I usually find it funny.
Because they're just Italians, right? They just have emotions. It'll pass like a woman, right?
Exactly.
It's just like she's on her period, but they're all on their period all the time.
When the Russian screams at you, for me, I'm used to that kind of shit, so I usually just bypass it and take nothing of it. But when an Asian starts screaming at you, I get sometimes legit scared. Like, especially I watched some of the documentaries about North Korea. The way they talk, it's intimidating. Like, really, I get I get chills every time I hear them talk.
But for maybe in Korea, just the standard speech sounds a little bit, sorry Koreans out there, whiny. Like, 감사합니다. 안녕하세요. This is how they soften things in their language. But it's always this, like, how are you today? We're having a podcast. And so it's a little bit hard to be frightened deeply by that. And I mean, there is a certain like feminine manipulative quality to it. So I guess if you're like, what the fuck's up with you? Why are you whining at me? What you gonna want later? Okay, I'll say like, I'm gonna say to you too, but bitch, you planning something later. I know it. All right.
Well, I
My
mean,
defenses be up.
I trust you on that one. You lived in South Korea for some time, so
Yeah, but I didn't listen to any of them.
you're like, I didn't understand what the fuck they were talking about anyway. So fuck that.
Oh, one time, it was like in the middle of the day, me and some friends were coming back from an improv practice, and there was a drunk as fuck, like clearly homeless man who boarded the same bus as us, was trying to talk to us in English and be like, was talking in street slang that sounded like it came from the Bronx. Like, hey, girls, what up? Hey, nice breast. What? You from America? What? You don't want to talk to me? What? And it's like, why is a 70-year-old Aydree talking to us like this? We don't understand. And everybody and he started getting physically aggressive, and nobody in the bus knew what to do. They didn't understand the language that he was speaking. It felt like I was the one interpreter for everybody. It's like, he's speaking black slang, got angry because he was trying to comment on our titties, but we ain't feeling that. Eventually, the bus driver pulled over and took him off, but I'm just still mesmerized to this day. How did this fucking grandpa know how to talk like he was from a Jay-Z video?
Exactly, yeah. You never know. It's a mystery. It's a freaking mystery. But
God bless him.
I've always been impressed and a little bit jealous of those homeless people, especially the older ones, because... Like
they live in their best lives,
yeah,
right?
think about it. They can start yelling in the middle of the metro, for example, yeah, and anything like, you're a fucking cunt, Korea sucks, and like nobody would pay attention. They're like, yeah, he is an old man, what can you do? What can you do? It's like, people take it for granted, it's like, oh, we're used to this kind of stuff.
It's like a would you rather type of situation, though. So you have the complete freedom. You can do this tomorrow, too. Abandon your family. Decide to be a mbomsh.
Yep.
Never bathe. Never take care of basic hygiene, and just scream at people and live on the streets.
And people would be like, what the fuck is he? Ah, okay, I get it.
Yeah, and smell, too. I mean, that's a great way if you never want to ever be taken seriously. Or you could fuck. Which would you choose? I mean, it's a...
You see a huge variety of options when you're a hobo. So,
who do you fuck as a hobo?
Jesus Christ, birds.
Birds? Okay, all right. So Kirill is making it more balanced now. So you can have complete freedom and fuck birds.
I mean, it's pretty easy, especially with those, with the doves, like you don't need a lot. You just need seeds, like or bread, Come. Okay, nice. Somebody's having a five-some tonight, yay. Something like that.
The pigeons or the doves? Like the white doves, or are we like being racist about doves here? Like, because whenever I think dove in English, I think the white ones.
The white
are
ones, yeah.
So only white doves, you guys. All right. He only approves of fucking white birds. Let this go on the internet. Don't cancel him. Hashtag me too. I agree. There's other ones are trash.
Kirill's lives matter. I'd love to have that movement. Yeah, but I just thought about this. Actually, at the English lessons at school, the first word that the teacher actually taught us was doves. The pigeons came next. So I guess that my teacher had something against the pigeons.
She was racist.
Probably, yeah. Bird racist.
Bird racist in Russia. Oh my God.
Jesus Christ.
I mean, what level is this that you're learning about like specific birds? Also, it's just like, first day, hello, how are you? Doves.
Doves.
Doves are better than pigeons. Doves master race. Pigeons inferior.
I even married a dove. You see, I have a dove at my home. But this is not Russian accent, by the way. You know what my problem is? My problem is that I always try to speak correctly in English, even with an accent. So as a Russian, I can't parody Russian accent. It's like, you probably heard the story about Charlie Chaplin, that he came to an audition.
He had sex with a child.
That one too. Yeah.
Okay.
But he once came to an audition. They were auditioning for Charlie Chaplin impersonation, and he came in there. He was like, "Okay, I'm gonna fool them." They didn't take him.
What an awesome waiting room that must have been! Just like a lot of depressed-looking men sitting around with like the same mustache and like smeared hobo makeup and a bowler cap. Like, maybe this will be my big break. Because my wife won't have sex with me anymore. She finds this entire look unattractive. I can't get hired in any other normal job with this facial hair. This has got to be it, or else I'm ending it all. Like being an aspirational Charlie Chaplin impersonator, that's dark, man.
That is very dark, yeah. Especially if you want to look authentic. Like, that's crazy. That is really crazy, yeah. And then they tell you, that's not Charlie Chaplin, that's Hitler.
Fuck, I forgot my bowler hat at home again. Damn it. And then they go hang out with like the Goebbels in the next soundstage, shooting for the History Channel reenactments, smoking behind the sound lot. Like, oh, God, again. Yeah. Wrong props, wrong costume.
That is a very vivid.
I thought about this.
Vivid image. This is how. You know what? I actually believe that this is exactly how you prepare for an audition for Charlie Chaplin impersonation. This is exactly how it looks like. I'm pretty sure about it. Oh my God! Is this the way how you approach writing some of the material?
No, these are just my dreams.
This is just your dreams.
Sexual fantasies also. It's not related to comedy.
Sometimes they are, actually.
Your sexual fantasies.
Yeah, sometimes they are related to comedy. Yeah, I mean, well, you can.
Like the plumber.
Yeah, like the plumber.
Like the plumbers.
Like the plumber, for example.
Who doesn't love plumbers?
Yeah, I mean, they never fix the fucking sink in the end. What the fuck is wrong with them?
I've never seen these pornographies.
I've seen. They're like the classic ones, the stereotypical ones.
Yeah, it seems like something that I would see in like from the 80s is a parody of 1970s pornography.
Yeah.
It's already a parody of something that was from the fucking silent era.
Yeah, exactly. And still, the dialogue in those porn parodies is much better than in Fast and Furious.
But I mean, from what I've heard, the Fast and Furious is just noises like, fuck, go, So, I mean, it's on the same level, right?
Yeah.
But one could be a little bit more passionate depending on what you're into.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But also, I mean, it comes from an era in which, like, the only people of the opposite sex that a woman would meet are service people coming over to her house, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Right, like plumbers, pizza people, washing machine repairmen, psychotherapists.
I guess that nowadays, to be more relevant, if you make a porn movie in Russia, yeah, right now what's so popular? Scooters, electric scooters.
So she fucks the scooter.
Yes, she fucks the scooter.
Oh God, I don't like this. I feel uncomfortable already. Which side? Which side is supposed to go in?
Don't be too empathetic right now.
The board part or the handle part?
Let that idea soak in.
No, thank you.
Maybe you will write a joke about it.
Can I have the washing machine repairman back?
Oh, okay, right. I think we can make something out of this.
Okay, sure. But I remember whenever I was just reflecting on this past week about how my personality and not only sense of humor, but the things that I hold dear to myself have been pretty much the same for the past 20 years of my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that feminism and sexual equality and sensation and experience are very dear to my heart, but also something I feel somewhat defensive of as well, and that needs to be championed. And I don't know, what does a normal 14, 15, 16-year-old do whenever they go to Europe or whenever they first get a car and get to explore the city with their friends? What would you do?
Oh, I mean, the problem is that we can get the driving license only when we are 18.
Because you have fucking buses. I mean, come on, you have freedom.
Yeah, well,
you have feet.
I remember when I was 16, and I didn't have a lot of friends. I was like loner. I was very shy and stuff like that. I would just like to skip school because it was very boring for me. And I would take a bus. I had a metro station near my home, and there were like 5 or 6 different routes, different buses which took different routes. Yeah, and I would get on one of them, and I would just go. Getting off at in the middle of the route and just start walking around. Looking at what are the places and stuff like that, the environment. Cool. It was for me. It was very interesting to just walk.
Yeah.
Basically to hike in Moscow. It's a big fucking city. What can you say?
I'm super jealous of that experience, being able to live in a metropolis where you can, I don't know, have so many places to explore as a young person, because I guess in the States especially, you don't have that freedom until you get a car.
Yeah.
There's nowhere to go. You're just, I guess, sanctioned in your house or your school and wherever else a vehicle might bring you.
Texas is pretty big, right?
Yes, but of course, like most of the states, there's no public transportation. So there's no way to leave your house whatsoever. But one of the first things I did whenever I was given that freedom or I had friends with a car would be to go to sex shops and argue with the employees there about why there's no pornography for women.
Really?
Yes, for sure, yes. And they were also very, patient with me and indulgent of me, because mostly these were like hipsters, or what would come to be called hipsters, or alternative people, women and men. And so I would, as kind of like an instructional thing also, after I got accustomed to this routine, bring my female friends along and look at all the videos and say, so what are your clientele mostly? Are they men, women, couples? Okay, and so why are all of these videos made from the male gaze? Why is there no pornography made for a woman and what women find sensual? And so why do you think that is? And these are like, 21-year-old journalists being like, I don't know, man, that's a pretty good point. That's true. I guess there's just not a market for that, yeah?
Pretty existential questions by
a fucking 14-year-old girl.
Well, I would be speechless for like a minute or two. I would take some time to collect my thoughts. Because really, I used to work at customer support at a taxi company, and sometimes we would get such calls, like people would love to talk to you all the time, and they would like discuss with you some of these existential questions.
Like, why are all the vibrators shaped like penises? Is the implication that women need a penis in order to orgasm? Like, who is this fucking child coming in and talking to us about this? That's who I was and am.
Yeah, that's nice. You remind me like one of the most existential and relevant questions that I got when I was working as a customer support manager at a taxi company. A guy called from a regional town in Russia, and he was like, he started like swearing at me, you son of a bitch. And I was like, sir, can you please explain to me what happened? He was like, what's your name? And I'm like, Kirill. And he goes like, Kiryuha, yeah, listen to me. Yeah, so boy, listen to me. Let me ask you a question, okay? I ordered a Comfort Plus class.
Nice.
To get to home with my wife, right? And I'm like, right. So please tell me, what is a Comfort Plus for you? And I'm like, well, a Camry or a Sonata, maybe.
Honda.
Yeah, and he goes like, exactly. So let me ask you something. Why the fuck do I order a Comfort Plus in fucking Barnaul and I get a fucking Renault Logan? And I was like, that's a very valid question, you know? I have no idea why.
Let me transfer you to my supervisors in that one.
Explain why in fucking Barnaul Renault Logan is considered Comfort Plus, you know? Leave me out of this question, please.
Wow, and I don't even understand the, I guess, gradation of cars.
It's different in every single city and town. Like, for example, in Sochi, Toyota Camry is considered business class.
Okay.
You would never get it in Moscow. In Moscow, you need a Mercedes or a BMW as a business class. But in Sochi, like Toyota Camry is a business class.
Do you personally care?
I don't give a fuck.
Who cares? Who are these people?
I don't know.
Where it's just like, oh, I'm having a miserable trip because I'm sitting on cloth seats. I don't know what the What is the difference?
Sometimes for me it gets very. I would usually tip a driver if he does his job nicely. So once I remember,
do too.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, see, yeah, nice. And I remember once I had 400 rubles on my card, and I was like, "Fuck, I will not have enough money for the comfort class." And comfort was like 412, and I'm like, "Let me order economy." And economy cost 250. So the guy comes. I sit there, and like he opens his mouth and he goes like, "Oh, do you feel comfortable? Is the temperature in the car okay? Do you want me to turn to switch to to a different radio station? Oh, okay. So is the navigator showing the correct route? Okay, let's go." And he drove me perfectly, and he got me. He dropped me by my home, yeah. And I was like, "Fuck it, I'll give him all the money on my card, all the 150 rubles that I had as a tip." Because he deserved it. Like, really, I have never seen such a service in economy class.
Yeah.
These guys usually treat you as a fucking log, as a piece of wood. You know, they don't care.
So, based on the service, he should be upgraded. He should have, like, complimentary, I guess, leather seats or an extra cup holder or whatever bumps you up to that class. But just because he's a genuine human being.
Yeah. It's a comedy podcast, by the way.
Yeah, so tip your taxi drivers, you guys.
Yeah.
So what other philosophical topics do you want to debate?
Well,
abortion. How do you feel about abortion?
I have a child. What do you think?
No.
It's actually, you know what? Like, it's the question that my mom started asking me. She was like, "Oh, you're gonna want the second one," and I'm like, "Are you fucking nuts?" Like, it is so difficult as it is to deal with, like, really, on a serious note, yeah? My wife and I, we both work full-time, distantly, of course, yeah? We earn pretty good money, you know? We earn like 100,000 per month each. So it's good money, yeah, even for Moscow, even inflation, you know, with inflation. And we buy everything our daughter needs, you know, like, we don't save money on our daughter, yeah? But even though, and our daughter is actually relatively calm child, yeah. The best thing that she does, he can keep herself. Jesus Christ, I wanted a boy.
All right, you guys. First coming out, Kirill's daughter is officially trans now. You heard it here first. Yeah. Her name is Ulian. All right, congratulations.
Just like Julius, you know, like Caesar.
She's gonna be. I'm sorry if I'm misgendering her. They're going to be a ruler.
They're going to be Z. I think that that is the term that they use right now for transgender people. Yeah, Z. They call them Z.
Oh, okay, cool. So you're more hip to this culture. I'm so glad that she already has her preferred pronouns. She's not even speaking.
I heard that in South Park.
South Park is definitely the arbiter of all culture.
Yeah,
One time the last time that I was in the States, I was hanging out in Portland, and I was wearing just a very low-cut dress. I was doing some computer work at a bar, and the waitress was, serving me all night, saying like, "Hey, sweetie, hey, honey, do you need something else?" And about the third time that she came over, I was like, "Oh my God, darling, I'm so sorry. I forgot to ask you. Have I been misgendering you this entire time? You're just wearing such a cute dress. I forgot to ask. What do you identify as?" I'm like, no, don't worry, honey, I'm a woman. Oh, okay, my God, thank you so much. Oh, God, I was worried. Okay, all right. Guy, thank you.
That's the funny stuff, Jesus Christ.
Only in Portland, though. It's a Portland thing. Don't worry, you can go to, like, Middle America, and they'll be like, what up?
What up, bitch?
Yes, I know. If you go into, like, the black community or the gay communities, bitch. I think, by the way, if you want to teach your students slang, bitch. Just an appropriately placed bitch.
Yeah, bitch. Just know where to put it.
Hey, bitch, what up?
Exactly. Mm-hmm. But so, where I was leading with that is that our daughter is she's a pretty smart baby because she can keep herself entertained, like playing with toys or watching a cartoon. So
is she autistic?
No, she's actually not. We go to because when you're a parent, you become paranoid. Yeah, of course. Yeah, you become really paranoid, and you're like, "Fuck!" She sniffed 2 times instead of 1. That's a problem. Let's go to the doctor. So, and that's my wife. She's pretty paranoid about that, and I'm more calm person in this relationship. I'm like, that's okay. It's just a child. Yeah. By the way, the piece of advice: if you want your baby to grow up a normal baby, just get the fuck off of it, just like let it live a life. Yeah, let it live a life, for fuck's sake. No, because most parents are just too caring. They're too much caring about their babies.
I mean, like, my father dropped me on the head so many times, and I turned out okay.
My mom actually also dropped me, and I like how she blocks it from her memory. She's like, I turned for like a few seconds and you fell. And my dad was like, no, she didn't. She turned away for 10 minutes. Like, yes. And my dad remembered everything.
Speaking of childhood, physical trauma. I have a somewhat bit of a funny story in this topic.
Okay, go ahead.
I didn't hear this story until I was maybe 28, 29 years old. My father and his sugar baby's baby were coming to visit me in Argentina. And over New Year's dinner, we were having conversations about all the times that he had dropped me on his head and all the times that he had dropped Keel and the sugar baby's baby on his head. And we were laughing and having a great time reminiscing about this. And he said, oh, well, you haven't heard the best of it. One time, whenever Adrienne was maybe 1.5 years old, I was bathing her. And, she was a child, and the water was soapy, and it was in the tub, and it was draining. And again, he turned his back for 30 seconds, and before he knew it, he turned around, and I had somehow managed to sit down on the bottle of shampoo. I don't know how this happens. I guess it's just like genetically something. So then he brought me to the pediatrician, and of course I was panicking, he was panicking. Brought me to the nurse, and they stitched me up and everything. And the question that the doctor took him out into the hallway to ask, I don't know where my mother was in all this, by the way, but was, so how did this happen again? She slipped onto a shampoo bottle.
Ricks of bullshit, to be honest.
Okay, all right, well, we got you there. Okay, we'll believe you. All right, take care of her next time.
Oh,
and
my
so
God.
my this 12-year-old pseudo nephew is laughing his ass off at this story because it's the funniest thing he's ever heard in his life. And my father's laughing at it. And I'm just staring there with wide eyes because I had never heard this before. And I'm like, why was I not told that? And he said, well, I guess it never came up. Why would it be relevant?
It's
And I
it's
said-
like, why haven't you told me? You never asked. You know, like that's.
I'm like, that explains so many things psychologically. It's like it just created a shampoo bottle-sized hole that could never be filled in my pussy.
Oh my god,
And
it's
that's
so
why
crazy.
I am who I am today.
So crazy, but
So-
parents tend to fuck their kids up so much. I mean, like, as much as an adequate of a parent I think I am, my wife and I, we agree that we have agreed a long time ago that we're gonna fuck up our daughters somehow.
Oh,
You
of
know, there
course.
will be this. You can't be a perfect parent. There will be moments when your child will get fucked up psychologically in some shape or form.
And you have the joke about the ultrasound wand,
Yeah,
right? And
yeah.
she turns away for it.
Yeah, exactly.
But I just apparently am like unattended for the first time in my life, and I'm like, what up, shampoo bottle? Let's go for it.
Exactly.
So,
this
I mean,
is
there is
crazy.
some sort of, definite personality difference there, so you can rest assured that your daughter's going to turn out marginally better.
Of course,
at least.
of course, yeah. But in Russia, the biggest problem is domestic abuse. It's been domestic violence, domestic abuse towards children in the family. That's about. I saw the statistics
It's a
recently.
comedy podcast, you guys.
Yes, exactly. It's in the statistics recently. It's about 60%
Fuck.
in Russia with children. In poor families, of course, yeah. But most of the families in Russia are poor, unfortunately. And still, but they never talk about it, you know. Yeah, but nobody talks about it. Yeah, of course they don't, because it's a fucking child.
Right.
Child is too afraid, too scared of everything, you know, like of like not being protected, of like the society turning their back on them, you know, and so on and so forth. And like that's the thing. So that's why every single time that I walk somewhere in the street and I see like a little baby girl or a boy, you know, drops on their knees, and the mom starts like, don't make me feel ashamed. And I'm thinking like, okay, that's a future therapy, you know.
Yeah.
That's future therapy, kid, for you there. Like, it's so easy to just fuck up your child mentally.
Hopefully society is evolving, though, a little bit, because in the United States, of course, that was also the standard. And I remember that the maxim in the South was spare the rod, spoil the child, which is kind of a perversion of a Bible verse, meaning that if you don't discipline your child enough, which they interpreted to mean physically, that means that you're spoiling them, that you're making them undisciplined, disobedient, and that you're creating kind of indulgent human beings later. And so, obviously, the tides have changed in the past couple of decades, so hopefully the same thing will happen here.
No, a therapist is one of the most demanding professions right now. Like most in-demand professions in the world today. It actually helps you when you get a good therapist.
Yeah, and so how long have you been with yours?
Yeah. Well, I had a wonderful therapist. Like, really, she helped me so much. She actually changed me for the better. Like, really, those 9 months that I had originally in therapy, they changed me drastically. Like, and I'm grateful for that. Yeah.
And so do you still see her frequently, or?
No, not right now. I mean, I realize that I still have problems. I see these problems, but for now, they don't stand in my way as much as they would trouble me, you know. So for now, I'm okay. But in the future, when I have more time and when it becomes obvious that these problems like really kind of keep me from living a normal life, I will go to therapy again. So.
Yeah, so we endorse therapy officially.
Yeah, exactly. And therapy actually helps you as a comedian as well, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it gives you more material.
Yeah, and speaking of which, like, I have seen you perform ever since our first podcast that we did so many months ago, yeah? And there is one thing, I think I discussed it with one other comedian, and we agreed that among all of those people who we have right now on the roster of English-speaking comedians, you already know who you are on stage and you follow that.
Yeah, I remember the conversation.
Yeah, you have it, like, and it's like, but here's the thing, like, I think that it's a mistake when other people say that, oh yeah, she knows who she is, that's it, you know, that's the end of improvement, basically. I don't believe that, because I've seen you improve your material as well. So
Yeah.
about that, yeah. If you look at yourself like 9 months ago and what you are right now, yeah, what you have become as a comedian right now, yeah. Have you noticed any changes in like how you approach writing material, how you deliver it, maybe the types, the context of the jokes that you're writing?
The context, not necessarily that different because it's still all coming from my personal life, right? I don't really think of a subject and think, like racial inequality, how am I going to make a joke about that? But it's all just based on anecdotes or experiences that I have and my perception of them, which is kind of why I was sharing the experience of going into sex shops when I was a teenager, because that's just who I am. I'm always going to be making jokes about sexuality as a woman or being a slut or like being an outsider in some way. But in terms of the joke writing process, I think a lot of the things that we've done with the Steal the Show people in particular have helped me become more conscious of how to structure a joke. Because previously, I would just think of a time in my life, tell a story, and if it went well, kind of craft it in a way that I knew got an audience reaction, but I wasn't that conscious of why or how.
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess, can I say Oleg?
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
Oleg kind of opened me up to the idea of, okay, first you're broadcasting a hint of what the punchline will be or what the premise is, then doing whatever story or whatever builds up to the punchline, and then inverting their expectations.
Mm-hmm.
And so that has helped me give a lot of structure to what otherwise were just kind of, I saw as funny stories. And also just kind of not only bantering with him, but with also other people who are close in my life who I have a sense of humor with, or a shared sense of humor, has really helped me develop jokes.
I think so. One of the reasons why I think that you evolved as a comedian is because I'm a comedy fan. You know, whenever I am present at a comedy show, even if I'm not performing, I still listen because I love a good joke. Yeah, and I started remembering your jokes. Like some of them sit in my head. Like one of my favorite jokes that you have is about jump and hop.
Yeah.
Like I love that. I love the wordplay on that. Yeah, and I like how you tie it to your personality. Like it's still connected to the type of humor that you would usually deliver. Yeah?
Right, about being inappropriate with children. And by the way, so why I started that story was because I've told it on stage. The reason why I officially got fired is because I allowed people to take pictures of jokes where the kids were making inappropriate jokes or appropriate jokes about cocaine and mental health and Dear Satan. But just 1 week ago, one of my drinking buddies from Jim and Jack's had the head teacher of my former school write him out of the blue and say, "Hey, buddy, long time no see. So yeah, I remember that we met years ago back in somewhere in Siberia. What up? By the way, you know Adrienne?"
Okay.
Yeah, so we had to let her go because she was teaching small children about dicks. What are you doing hanging out with her? And he thought this was the funniest thing and was showing it to everyone at the bar. And I was halfway kind of appreciative of the fact that this random colleague made such an impression on him. But also I would like to make a correction. I was not teaching small children about dicks. I was teaching teenage children about cocaine. It's very different.
It's very different, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's the problem I think that a lot of teachers face. You know, that's the reason why I don't work at school, and I will never work at school.
The boundaries are too strict.
The boundaries are too strict, and it's always the teacher's fault. All the time. It's not because your kid is fucking dumbass, yeah, or you mentally abused your kid and physically abused your kid, and you raised them in not a very appropriate and correct way. Yeah, no. It's not your fault. Yeah, it's definitely not your fault. It's the teacher's fault. Of course, it always is. And plus, the fact that those kids, if the parents are actually worried about what those kids did during that, lesson that you had, maybe they should think more about why the kids did that. Because one teacher is not the reason for that.
Yes, but I mean, so again, going back to original personality, I fancied myself a comedian without using those words or knowing what that meant, whenever I was 12, 13, 14 years old, whenever there was an opportunity to make a sarcastic comment and fill in the blank exercise or make a witty comeback to a teacher, I'd be taking that up. And so I see that in my students. I want to foster that because that's what makes me entertained. And I don't know, it maybe the same way that if you have a child and they do a similar mannerism that you have or something like that, you want to, you think that's endearing and you want to make it grow.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, probably. And speaking of like your, so to speak, the freedom of speech, yeah? Because right here in Russia, you don't have any boundaries, especially when you get on stage to perform, yeah? You can talk about anything you want to, you can say anything that you want to, yeah? And let's just say that you would go back to the States tomorrow, for example, yeah? And you would want to go there on stage and do stand-up. How much of a problem would that no filter between your brain and your mouth be?
I have no idea because I've not lived there in so long and I've never done stand-up comedy in the States. So I really have no idea whatsoever.
So you're just completely disconnected, yeah, from what is happening there right now.
Right, and I mean, like, the only thing that I can hear is from, I guess, the mass media, which who knows what that's, how much that would affect us as normal people. And all the connections that I have there are living their normal lives. They're family people, they have children, they go to work as dental hygienists or clerks or whatever. But there's not that much opportunity for them to say, like, those beeping fucking beeps. And encounter some sort of problem for that, because it's just not an environment where I think a lot of people would actually face any sort of barriers. Maybe if you're working in academia and wanted to publish a paper that was kind of scandalous, like, why are blacks this way? Or if you wanted to make a joke about, this is a funny accent. Or if you're in some sort of position of power or notoriety, then maybe you would come under scrutiny. But the people that I know personally, they're not in that position where they're heard by multiple people or have a platform. So I have no idea what's going on, to be honest.
Okay. And one of the reasons why I ask this question is because in comedy, there is very often a very thin line between basically insulting a person, yeah, and cracking a joke. And I had this situation today, actually, when there was basically a woman and her friend did not speak English at all. Right. So I went on stage and I joked about me being a teacher, and hey, if you need a teacher, call me up. You will never need your mom as your personal interpreter again. And that woman got upset. She was like, I'm not your mom. And I heard that, pittiness in her voice. I was like, fuck, I just insulted her. I started feeling bad, and that got me off my track on stage. It got me like 2 minutes of very nice crowd work. Yeah. With that, but I felt that I kind of insulted her.
That's a little bit different than like a cancel culture, a PC culture, right?
No, of course, but still, you can get an audience member upset, and it can get you off the horse, so to speak. Yeah.
Of course.
Have you had any of these moments recently, or for the past couple of months, when you would be performing or hosting? Because as a host, you talk to people, of course, while warming up the crowd. Have you ever had this when you realize that the situation is getting a little bit tense?
Yes, I suppose. I think that I told the most recognizable one a little while ago, whenever I first did the podcast, with the telly thing, when I wasn't even intending it to be crowd work or bantering, but somebody just was telling about furniture in their living room, and they said telling, and I said, what kind of garbage language is that? Because it's very, colloquial British. But in terms of insulting people where I thought it was funny, but didn't turn out that funny, I think just nothing that I can recall specifically, but just maybe in the spur of the moment, trying to be witty. And I think that's something that is the difficulty of being a host. Where, oh, wow, you're from, I don't know, not Moscow, so what kind of shithole are you from? Something that you don't even recall just slips off the tongue, and it could be offensive to them. It could go over well, but you think you're, being clever in the moment. So things like that may have come and gone in my mind, but I realized that, it was a bad reaction at the time. But in 50% of the other cases, it would have gone over well. Oh, wow, so you're a student, so how is the not working life going? Oh, so you're in IT, how boring is that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Something that you think is clever, but doesn't read as such.
So do you kind of are you trying to control that, like not saying it immediately after it comes to your mind, or you just, I thought about this, and you just spit it out, like?
It's a balance. Of course, I don't want to offend anybody, and of course, I don't think that there's any sort of prized ability to be like, yeah, so what? Don't censor me. I say that IT is boring. That's my opinion. Don't stop it. But yes, of course, I want to respond quickly and cleverly to whatever comes up. But right, so I do take notice, of course, whenever something doesn't go over well, and incorporate that into my future responses.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
One other thing connected to this subject. Here's the thing. Very often, when a set doesn't go really nicely, and there is a lot of silence, a lot of dead air, you realize that your jokes just don't hit. Yeah. A lot of comedians, they turn on the defense mode, so to speak, and it can be very different. Like, for me, I usually would put my eyes down, and be like, right, or saying something, some parasite words like that, as we call them in Russian, other comedians would go really passive-aggressive when they, and this is like one of the worst things I think I've ever seen, and Abed and I, we discussed it before, that they start saying, this joke deserves more laughter, or something like that, or usually these jokes give me applause breaks, which I think is a pretty dick move to do in terms of connecting with the crowd, Some people start swearing a lot. Like, they would be like, fuck, and like, hey, you motherfuckers, or something like that. Trying to be witty again, like you said, and something like that. What is your protective mechanism in these moments?
Especially as a host, I guess, is try to engage them more by doing more crowd work, whether or not that's for the best. Just by, I don't know, commenting on somebody that I found who's already established a dialogue with me, and trying to milk that more. I don't know if that's the best option. It probably isn't. I don't really consider myself an expert in this. But I guess it's just kind of natural to want to retreat to somebody that you feel is wanting to banter with you a little bit more, who is a safe space. Or I just also retreat to the jokes that I know that work well about myself. To be honest, that doesn't quite go over as well. Because if they've already decided that, we're not signed on to whatever she's all about, the kind of jokes that I do to try to engender, like, hey, look, I'm just a dopey American girl, I'm having bad luck in love, what's going on here, already don't fly with them. But that's just kind of my natural defense.
Okay, yeah, right. And in a lot of cases, especially when you're doing the crowd work, you would, for example, start talking to a person, and at some point you realize that it doesn't go that well. So do you continue pushing on them, trying to find that touch, that button where you would, where the contact would be established, basically, Or are you just trying to move away from this person right at once? What do you usually do with that?
Well, for example, today, like whenever I was talking to the person who was not the daughter, who didn't speak English that well, and talking to her for a couple of sentences, like, where are you from, and realizing that you didn't speak English, I didn't feel comfortable leaving it on okay, well, next person, but just, do you like to learn? Great, you come to the right place. Or, well, you should drink more. So wanting to come up with some sort of last line that makes it into a joke. So not completely turning away from it, but at least finding something that's non-aggressive where it ends as a positive interaction.
Have you ever had this one performance set or hosting where you felt that the crowd was completely disconnected from you?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I can't remember one in particular, but I get that feeling often.
So what goes through your mind at that point? Because a lot. Why I'm asking this question is because a lot of comedians, especially if they are kind of green, or not experienced enough, they start panicking.
Yeah,
and
that's
you can
the word that
see
came into
that.
my mouth, yeah.
They start panicking. They can start throwing swearings and so on and so forth. Yeah. What goes through your mind at those moments when you feel like, oh, it's a little bit disconnection right now?
It's also panicking, but I think my also natural defense is to be begging, which doesn't come across that well either. Just like, oh, hi, I see you playing on your phone, so what's up with you? Something like that. I mean, even if I don't say that exactly, that's the energy that I'm projecting. So, hi, you guys are Russian, right? Let me tell you a fun joke about what it's like to be a foreigner in Russia. Do you speak? And so trying to personally make eye contact with them in a way that pleads with them to come back to the center. I don't think that's the best energy either, but again, that's just the initial defense mechanism that I come up with.
Okay, all right. Do you have any? Do you have any of these things that you would really love to change or get rid of when you get yourself in these situations? Like, for example, again, maybe you start swearing too much and you're after the show, like, I need to change that, or like, I need to do less of that. Like, do you have anything that you want to change?
Yeah, sure. I think that especially with hosting both here and at Jim and Jack's, when I don't allow that many deviations or that many trees from what I might normally do. And as the host, of course, it's your job to say whatever the crowd likes most to warm them up for the other performers that are to follow, right? And so instead of just picking a lane and sticking to it, I think that I want to experiment more with, okay, this is a strong opener. Depending on how they react to that, I might do either joke 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6, and then having branching options beyond that.
Okay, nice. And finally, you
Yeah.
have been hosting for quite some time right now. Jim and Jax, you've been hosting for like 7 months, I think.
Yeah, and about the same here.
And about the same here. What was the toughest show that you have done? And if you can remember some details, what do you think went wrong?
Oh, wow. I am psychologically healthy in the way that I like to repress all of these memories of bad things. So if there's something that's too scary, too traumatic, it's just kind of, all right, I'll let that come out in my personality as future neuroses. Maybe I'll develop a new verbal or physical tic from it, but I'm not going to sit and meditate on it for the rest of my life. So it's difficult for me to remember specific details from specific failures in my life, which I think in itself is a pretty adaptive defense mechanism, because I have enough things to ponder in bed as I'm lying awake trying to fall asleep. But I think that it's most difficult in general whenever there are 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, 6 people in the audience, and they're eventually dwindling to 4 or 3 or 2 or 1 people. And you can feel that you're losing. Oh, we're in a bar, you guys. We're going to steal the show right now. So if you hear some chatter from the staff going on in the background, it's just a testament to the sound quality of Kyril's microphones.
Yeah, the previous time we were here, like, we got interrupted by music because there was a concert going on.
Nice. It's the authenticity of it, really.
Yeah. So, well, that's what you get when you record in a public place like a bar, for example. You would always hear like the background noise, people talking, music playing, and so on and so forth. Yeah.
But in terms of specific traumas or specific failures, I don't really have any stories that I can think of in particular regarding that. But it's just the basic feeling of whatever I'm doing is making the crowd drift away person by person by person, and feeling helpless to stop that. Maybe a month or so ago at Steal the Show, I think you were there. Or maybe that was one time when you were ill. But
I remember guys told me about the show when even you like openly, like without a, because usually you would try to be like nice, polite. Yeah, it wasn't a good show, but we kind of tried. You went on like that was shit. Like I remember that. Yeah, that was 3 weeks ago.
Oh, only 3 weeks ago. You see, my mind is just kind of like intentionally pushing it back. But it was just, I mean, everybody in the audience and the comedians felt that the energy and the confidence in ourselves as performers was dwindling more and more and more and more. And the more that I came on stage and tried to punctuate the sets where there were already like comedians who felt like, oh my God, everybody's going to hate this, everybody's going to hate me, with something that would bring up the energy, already felt like this kind of pleading, begging, disposition where it's like, oh, so you guys, if I told you about banyas, do you like banyas? And just everybody could feel in the audience that the energy was like the comedians were wanting, please just give us something. And that's not the best reaction to get.
Mm-hmm. Which leads me actually to the final question. Since we have discussed problems that you face while hosting, what in this experience as a regular host has been the most difficult for you?
Feeling the responsibility of everyone's performance rests on me. That if I feel that the energy is slipping, that if the engagement is dissipating, that it's my responsibility to go on and enthusiastically be like, that was great, you guys, good, right, okay, so let's keep it up. Let me tell you a quick one-liner, let me make a witty comment about them, and the next person is somebody else. And if that person doesn't get a good reaction, then it's somewhat my fault because I didn't, bring the energy back to where it needed to be. And so as opposed to like as a performer, if I do 5 minutes every other week, I'm only responsible for myself. Here I'm responsible for everybody's reception, right?
Right.
And so it's a big difference in that way. And I think that a lot of what I'm riding on a lot is that I'm a genuinely friendly person, especially on the outside. Whenever people are leaving, I can be like, hi, thank you so much for coming out. What's your name? Is this your first time? Because I'm genuinely interested in the people who come here and getting to know them and what brought them here and what their interests are. But I'm currently working on, trying to integrate that with the charisma that's needed to be on stage.
Okay.
What about you? How do you feel about?
I feel okay. I feel okay about it. Again, my problem is that a lot of people say, and some experienced comedians told me, dude, it's an open mic. It's okay if it's a shit show. I don't think so. Here's the thing: people who come here don't give a fuck about that it's an open mic. For them, they see comedy show. I don't care if it's a comedy show. I don't care what kind of a comedy show it is. With experienced comedians, with polished material, or if it's an open mic, it's a comedy show. Mm-hmm. And we have been getting a lot of newcomers recently. Yeah, you know that. And for me, when half of the room is here for the first time, for example, that's the first impression that they're going to get of the place in general.
Or comedy in general.
Yeah. I don't want this impression to be a shitty one. Mm-hmm. That's why I'm very nervous before every show, and I plan the show out in my head. So I would usually go with the thing that it's always like this, if you have 5 strong minutes, start with them, then go to do crowd work, because I'm not as experienced and as professional at crowd work as, for example, Igor, who's been hosting for God knows how many years, or Oleg, who has his own style but still hosting. He's been doing that for a long time. So I need to get them to warm up, to give. I want them to give me the trust credit, like this. This trust that, oh, this guy is funny, so let us see what he has, know. And after that, I start talking to them. I get them on my wave, so to speak, yeah. And then I start crowd working, and maybe it will work, maybe it won't, but that's how I'm trying to do that. And it helps me, it really has helped me a lot, because even during the today's set, for example, I got completely off the horse with that lady, but then again, that gave me 2 minutes of very, very good crowd work when people were laughing and genuinely loving this. So that's what I do. And then again, everything is in details. There are small details, and some people might say they're not very important ones, but I think that it can be a snowball effect. If you don't pay attention to a lot of small details, that's it. Like, your show is gonna turn into a shit show very fast. For example, the order that the comedians get on stage, it's very important, because some people, they just don't care. And it is very important to mix them, because you as a host, we as hosts, we observe them every single week. We know who's capable of what. So we really, essentially what we want, in my opinion, is a strong opener, is a strong set in the middle, and a strong closer. That's what we want. In between, we need to mix them. Like, a stronger comedian goes first, then like a not very experienced, not very good maybe comedian, then again a strong comedian, and so on and so forth. And if a comedian is not very good, what I usually do, I would stand there and I would listen to everything that they say, and I would comment somehow, on what they have just said. They're just trying to turn this into a joke, and then bring the next comedian, because if a comedian performed not very well, bad sometimes, it can kill the vibe, and it's your job as a host to get them back up. And can you do that? A quick joke, for example,
Yeah.
And it all works. So maybe I'm too much into that, but I never want to have a bad show.
Of course.
And that's not only for the place, that's not only for the comedians, that's for myself. My ego tells me, dude, you can't have a bad one. You will feel like shit. And I have an ego. And that ego tells me, you want to be good at whatever it is that you're doing. And I feel like shit whenever I fail at a comedy show, So again, maybe I'm too much into this, but that's the way I am. I am trying not to push myself too hard, because if you get obsessed with this, you just might go crazy.
Oh, yeah, of course. I mean, who doesn't feel bad after failing at something?
People who don't care.
But isn't that in itself a defense mechanism? Just like, I don't care because it...
It may be, but then again, they come again and again and again. And I mean, let's be honest, we have seen an example, at least a couple of examples of people who don't improve at all. They just keep coming here because they like the attention maybe, or something like that. But they don't improve, It's like every single time they come here, you're like expecting something new, but you never get anything new out of them. And it's the same silence from the audience as well. It's like, why? Why are you doing this? You want attention, good, but is that a good attention? Good kind of attention when at a comedy show you're not funny and you're not even trying to be funny.
Well, I think that there are some people that we know as regular people who are present here who don't really have a concept of what it is to be a comedian, but you're right, they just enjoy being on stage. But then there are others who genuinely try to write jokes or are still trying to find their footing or try to be comfortable. And they're actually trying to structure material, but just aren't that good yet at reading the audience response or any of the technical parts of what goes into being a professional. And so I think that there's a difference between the two.
No,
Only
of
speaking
course,
from my own
definitely,
personal experience, just I was overcome with intense nervousness for a long time in the first few years that I was getting on stage. First in stand-up a handful of times here, and then in improv in Korea, like literally shaking and was tumbling over words and just
remember, like, I think that all of us used to do that when you would learn your jokes by heart, verbatim, and you're like, shit, I said but instead of and. And then like you're jumping off a cliff at that point.
Well, I guess like studied in improv, it wasn't quite the same, but just the idea of getting on stage is super uncomfortable, and it took me over a year to get over that even just visibly shaky nervousness. And so maybe somebody that we're thinking of is in that same phase where they are trying, but they just need a space which like an open mic can provide. You can't expect, a professional level of writing, charisma, stage presence from year one, right?
Of course.
And so hopefully there will continue to be venues in this city or elsewhere where there can be fumbly, awkward people who are attuned to the audience, but just don't know how to use that yet.
Yeah. Do you think that they need to listen to criticism? Because I've seen a lot of occasions that people just don't even accept criticism,
Mm-hmm.
They're like, they come to you, they're like, okay, tell me what was wrong. And they're like, okay, this, and this.
Well, if they come to you, that's different. There's listening advice.
Yeah.
But if I do poorly, I can tell that I've done poorly. I understand that. And I know what I've done wrong. I have some sort of self-awareness, right? And if it's to the level of, well, you were fidgeting with your hair, or you were, turning in an awkward way, or you stumbled over this consonant, I'm not ready for that level of criticism right now. Because if I'm becoming self-conscious of every single little physical gesture that I have, I would be so crushed with this information and self-consciousness that I think I would freeze and crumple and die on stage. Maybe if I were in 5 years from now, come back to me and tell me that I stand pigeon-toed, or that I handle the mic stand awkwardly, because I know I handle the mic stand awkwardly all the fucking time now. Because that's I don't know, that's thought number 8 in my mind, right, whenever I'm on stage. And I'm aware of these things, but if you were to say, not only do you handle the mic stand awkwardly, but you should be holding it like this, or closer to your mouth, or further away, it's just too much information and too many things for me to feel insecure about, and it would totally crush any sort of confidence that I have. Mm-hmm. And especially giving that to somebody who's a first or second year performer, unless they're specifically asking how should I handle, I don't know, the mic stand, it's just too much.
No, I agree with that, but there are some essentials, for example, one of the things that I would usually tell people that whenever you get on stage, put that mic stand aside. Mm-hmm. It drags the attention away from you, unless you're using it to hold the microphone, but I've seen so many people, it's the center of the stage. They come, they take the microphone, they leave the mic stand in the center, and then they themselves go to the right or to the left. Mm-hmm. That is very, irritating to see as a member of the audience, because this is the center of the stage. You need to be in the center of the stage, not the mic stand. And if you are there along with the mic stand, the mic stand takes attention. The mic stand takes all of the attention. I'm like, God, just at some point I'm like, take that fucking mic stand, put it to the right or to the left of you. I don't see you, I want to see you on stage, not the mic stand. It's like, when there is I don't know, a freaking, a bug on someone else's shirt, and you're looking at this, just take that fucking bug off.
Yeah, it's definitely a distraction or a nuisance.
Yeah. So there are some essentials is what I'm trying to say.
Agreed, for sure.
Yeah, that you need to do, of course. And please don't crack, if this is your first time or the second time, please don't crack the jokes which go like this. Oh, this is my first time on stage, this is like my first sex. Don't do that, please. It's so bitten to the ground at this point. Oh my God.
So some things like that, right? But I guess even the conclusion that we came to last time is that I suppose I'm a bit more holistic. That a lot of people, myself included, just need a lot of trial and error before they feel comfortable. And that, of course, there are do's and don'ts and hard rules and hard yeses and hard no's. But people will seek that out if they want it. And I don't think that there's anybody in the scene currently who has an inflated view of themselves. Like, I'm the best, I'm the genius, I'm the most successful, but yet
Well,
I'm like betraying all of these like basic principles. Nobody laughs, somebody thinks I'm funny, but I think I'm the best.
Well, I could think of a few people actually.
Currently, oh.
Yeah, I'm not gonna drop the names, but still, I'm gonna tell you after the show.
Okay.
But still, what's your one final thing? Yeah, because I've already said like one last question, like about 3 or
But
4
we're so
times.
interesting, that's why.
What's your favorite rookie mistake from green comedians? What I mean by rookie mistake, in a positive way, which you see a comedian do this mistake and it puts a smile on your face, like, I used to be like that too.
I guess, speaking of the microphone, just holding it far away from your face. Like, eat the mic. It sounds uncomfortable at first because, like, everybody else has been putting their face up there, but really, thank God that, for example, you or I are always there to work the sliders, but it's not that way in every club, right? So just, if you want to be heard, you have to put it up here. And I think that at Jim and Jack's or elsewhere, I've been like yelling, put it closer, and people are like, is this thing on? It is, but it's 2 feet away from your face. So, I mean, it's kind of a cute repartee that you can establish with somebody yelling at them for it, but it's eat the fucking mic if it's your first time on stage.
Eat the microphone, guys and girls, yeah.
But
Eat the microphone. Right.
Speaking of it, do you want to promote the
Yep.
beating woman?
Beating women?
No, the punchline.
I thought you were talking about the new GTA game, and I was like, wow, I would
Oh,
like to
there's a new
pre-order it.
one?
No, there's not, unfortunately.
So we should totally have, like, that would be the most woke GTA, beating men.
Yeah.
You can go up and pick up gigolos in, like, a pink Barbie Jeep. Yes.
Oh my God.
And
yeah,
you're
I think that would
dealing,
be
like,
nice.
what would be the most feminist drug to deal?
The most feminist drug. It's
Only
an interesting
ecstasy.
question. Only ecstasy.
And collagen injections, so that would be the least feminist.
Probably, yeah.
Guys, answer in the comments, what is the most feminist drug to do?
Yeah. Finishing this off, wanted to tell people who are listening and who live in Moscow or are thinking of coming to Moscow at the end of August, the beginning of September. There is the annual comedy festival called the Punchline Comedy Festival. That's taking place throughout the end of August and into the beginning of September. And yours truly, Adrienne Enne, and myself, we are going to do shows there. Yeah.
Correct.
Not solo shows, 2-man shows, like you're doing that with Adrian Nero.
Man shows?
Yeah, I'm doing that with Nikolai Antonov. We don't know the venues right now as of yet. We were thinking it might have been Jim and Jack's, but apparently it's not.
Well, I do know that mine is going to be on August 30th at 6:30 p.m. for 1 full hour right before my weekly psychoanalysis appointment. So please feel free to come and give me lots of heckling because I'll have a fresh time to talk it out afterwards. The special is called The Russian Dream, the Trauma Twins special, because that's what we are. And yeah, please come into Moscow. Who cares what country you're from? Fly in, renounce your citizenship just to see me on stage for half an hour apiece.
Nice. What can I say? That was a very good plug.
And what is your show's name again? I love it.
My show is called I'm Afraid I've Been Thinking, and this show is produced and delivered by 2 comedians, Nikolai Antonov and yours truly. The date, the 27th of August. The time is 8 p.m. The venue is yet to be determined.
Later slot. Yo,
Hey,
refresh.
nice. Okay, so thank you very much for agreeing to do this again.
Anytime.
Yeah.
If you want more stories, I'll be here.
Of course, like the first part was basically us talking about these stories, and the life philosophy. The second part was more focused on your improvement as a comedian and as a host in particular. So who knows what we're going to be discussing the third time.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure hosting this shit with you.
All right. Thank you very much once again. And to all the people who's been listening to this on podcast platforms and watching on YouTube, guys, thank you very much for joining us again. Every new week, every weekend, Saturday or Sunday, a new episode will be dropped on all the podcast platforms. The video version will be uploaded to YouTube a couple of days later. Just watch out for the announcements in our groups on Facebook and Vkontakte. So see you guys the next time. Thank you for listening and ciao.
Bye, I love you.